Morning, everybody. It is 8:16 a.m. It is August 11th. Wild day in the markets yesterday. Went all the way up, caused some short covering, and then got smacked back down. This market is very volatile now. So that's what we're dealing with here, a volatile market. And the sellers are selling the rips right now. Anytime we rip up, you get smacked down. So there's some sellers present now in this market. The regime has changed a little bit. Changed a little bit. Right? So without further ado, welcome to my channel. My name's Steven Gonzalez, using volume profile, market profile to put scenarios on the market and find structure, right? Using supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, classic support and resistance, the most traded price of the rolling week and the rolling month, all to construct a plan, to construct scenarios, to try to be on the right side of the market. Price will fool you. That's why you have structure. That's why I fell in love with volume and market profile. It gives you a foundation, a roadmap to follow, right? Not based on feelings, not based on predictions. Okay? So, welcome. Please subscribe if you haven't already and set an alert. If you like what you see, give me a thumbs up. You want to wait for that to the end? Be my guest. Follow me on Twitter at Gonzo719. And let's just get right into this. We'll get right into the watch list here. All right, let's see what's going on here. All right, crude is up 0.47, $83.21 a barrel. Okay, gold is up 0.13, ether is up 0.08, bitcoin's up 0.07, russell is up 0.04, basically flat. 10-year yield is probably going to rise. 30-year bonds are being sold, so at 8:20 when they report, that will be rising. The Dow is flat. The dollar is flat. ES is down 0.08. Nasdaq's down 0.19, as you see. Silver's down 0.25. Silver's just volatile, right? It's the volatile metal because look, it's down a quarter of a percentage, and gold is up, right? And bonds being sold. The VIX is down 0.76. Today we have PPI coming out at 8:30. We will go to that and check it out. They're expecting a pretty decent downtick, so we will look at that. All right, so let's move on to stocks I like to day trade, right? No really leader here. All transparency. I was looking at a short on Google at 132 yesterday. It just didn't set up. It did fall apart at that level. That was a huge gamma, positive gamma level. So it's flat. Netflix is flat. Meta, right? Amazon, I had a short yesterday. Worked out pretty good. When the market fell apart, Amazon hit 140, which is a huge positive gamma level. So that caused resistance. Let's just go with the laggards here. Okay, Tesla. I just saw that China's competitor to Tesla lowered their prices. Not sure if that has to. It's a sympathy when Tesla said this is not good. The demand is not as high. That could be negative for Tesla, right? Nvidia is finally getting a little bit of smack down there from Nvidia, down 0.8. BABA, China, Asian markets overall were kind of down. So, but I saw BABA got some price target raises today. They had good earnings. It went up to like 101 yesterday, I think. So hopefully, and then Biden's talking about curbing China investments, and there's some tension there. That's kind of the risk with having less China stock, right? All right, let's go to top sector stocks. Disney, Finally has that movement, right? Finally, that stock's been beaten down. Roblox, nothing really leading the market right now. We're waiting for PPI. UPS is down 0.9. Okay, UPS is down 0.9. It looks like they have a dividend. When does that drop? Today. So it's got dividend today. I will take that dividend. I think it's a pretty nice one too. All right. So that is the top sector stocks. Okay. Remember, we still got the news dropping at 8:30, and that includes core PPI and PPI. Okay, we'll get into that in a second. Let's just go to our sectors. All right, utilities. That is a weird leader, right? That is a weird leader, but that's been beaten down as of late. I've actually added to my NEE position as of late. If you look at a chart, it's at a key support level. Okay, it kind of just goes up and down at this level. So I like that. Followed by energy, but then the laggard is semiconductors, obviously NVIDIA. And technology is only down a little bit, right? We're really just waiting here. Okay, we're waiting here. Okay, now it's my job to get into some market news. So we look at an economic calendar. All right, so this is very interesting here. So for the headline PPI numbers, right? The consensus, this is a pretty big jump. Consensus is 0.7, previously 0.1. So they're looking for a 0.6 add to PPI. Maybe because of gas and oil has been more expensive, right? It's, costing companies more. Core PPI, it's only looking for a 0.1 uptick. Core PPI month over month, looking for a 0.1. PPI month over month, looking for a 0.1. But the big one really is the headline, which is expecting a 0.6 rise, obviously with oil and gas. Okay, so that's what we're waiting for. Now, as far as today at 10 a.m., I would be very careful of entering any type of trades that has tight stops. You got 5 Michigan consumer numbers coming out. That is going to cause volatility. So if you're in a trade early, it might not affect you as much. But if you don't enter a trade at 10 a.m., that is like you're asking for trouble. Okay? You're asking for trouble. Now, Rivian got an upgrade. Let's look at, let's look at quick gapping up and gapping down. Let's just look at this here. This is gapping up. Let's see. Anybody to note that I would say? Not really. Other news? Not really. All right, let's look at the gap downs. Gapping down. Cano is down 43.2%. Possible sale. Plan to exit. So that's getting hammered. Let's see here. I'm just trying to find stocks to note. Nothing really. Monster here. What's this? I guess these are insider selling and insider buying. So sellers, look at that. Interesting. I haven't seen that reported before. All right. Well, we got 5 minutes. I think I can do some daily charts here before we wait, because my little method here is a little faster than I used to do it. Just shows everything on the chart at once. All right, we'll do that before PPI drops in 4 minutes. All right, let's look at the SPY. SPY pretty much has a triple bottom here. right? Remember, orange is the weekly, previous week's highs and lows. White is the previous month's highs and lows. So now that you got that out of the way, we're holding right below last week's lows. Okay, that is bearish price action. We came all the way up, almost to this 20-day simple moving average. There's a trend line here. You can say that was resistant. Closed all the way down here. Very volatile, right? You can see the candle size of the candle is different from over here, right? We're just volatile right now. So that's what I'm looking at. 50-day moving average is still way down here. Futures has, I believe, hit the 50-day moving average in the ES, but not in the SPY. Okay, let's look at the Qs. All right, let's look at last week's highs and lows. We are below last week's low, down here. We went all the way up here, right, and came all the way back down. Where? Closed right at the 50-day moving average, right there. Okay, the white would be last month's lows. 363.41 is last month's lows. Okay, so let's keep an eye on that. We're definitely in a downtrend. Okay, we're definitely in a downtrend. Probably could even, let's see, we could even put I'm not sure if I like that downtrend line. Here we go. Here we go. Right there. So you got 1, 2. Look at that. Right to the tick. Look at that. Right on that trend. So I'll keep that there. All right. Let's look at the Dow. Remember last week's highs and lows, right? Holding last week's lows. So the Dow is stronger, right? Holding. So it's holding it up. Okay. Closed right below the 20-day simple moving average. Okay. The Dow went all the way up, almost to last month's highs. Okay. Almost up to last month's highs. But then got smacked. Now, a lot of that up was UNH, United Healthcare, going up. So have to see here, but you can just tell right here it's holding up a little stronger, right? And look, higher low, higher low, higher low. The markets are pretty much flat besides the Russell. Let's just go to the Russell. It's been my arch nemesis as of late. Broke out of that. So look at that. There's last week's highs and lows, way down here. Closed way down here, almost to this trend line. Didn't quite reach the 50-day movement. Did reach it in the futures, but not here. But the Russell's the stronger index pre-market. Okay, so below that, very weak. Basically, but that downgrade of the banking, stuff like that, has hurt the Russell. Okay, let's go to that news is going to drop for PPI. Let's just go to the chart. Let's see. It's going to drop. Dropped. Oh, wow. It was worse than expected by 0.1. That could cause a downtick. All right, let's look at the numbers. Okay. So, headline, actual 0.8, previous was 0.2. They expected 0.7, so that went up an extra than they thought. The core, look at the consensus, 2.3. It actually upticked 0.1. Well, previous was 2.4, so it stayed the same, but their consensus was for it to go down. It went up. So this is bearish. Okay. Month over month core, let's see, consensus 0.2. That went up 0.1. Consensus for the PPI month over month 0.2 went up. So this is bearish. Okay. That's why you see That candle going lower. Ten-year yields up to 4.12. So we just broke the lows. Now, just so everybody understands and knows, I've been talking about how oil is going to impact these PPI numbers, CPI numbers. Okay? Remember, you got a whole month of this month of oil being up. So it's most likely going to go up again for next month. And if oil keeps going up, that's not going to be good. Okay? Now it's getting some volatility now. So you drop lower. Now the market's kind of deciding what it wants to do with this number, right? So we broke the lows. Now we're hanging out under that 50-day moving average right here. This is the 50-day and the daily 50-day moving average in futures. VIX is rose. All right, we'll check in with that. But now we can go right into the market profile. So give me a second while I do that. We switch right over to market profile. There we are. Okay. So let's point out what I'm seeing here. What do we have? We're moving lower now, guys. All right, price is right here. I could even break this out so we can watch it bar by bar, so to see what the market's doing. Okay, it's at the lows, going down lower. Okay, so I'll keep that like that so we can see what the market's doing in a 30-minute bar. I got demand down here, so let's look at our levels. This is very bearish here. So what happened is the 5 most traded price of the week, which happens to be the most traded price of yesterday, has moved lower. It's down here. So that's bearish. Okay? And look where the price held these candles, these bars, right at that price. Okay? I said yesterday that the most traded price of the week, if it moves lower, that's bearish. Now, what I could see happen is what happens is you get less and less participants. See how the volume's thinning out here on the profile? So once that happens, what's going to happen is if you move down here, you could even come back up and test it and then roll over, and then you got to build out more volume there to move lower again, if that's the case. Because if you can't, you're going to move back up here, and then if you can't, you're going to move back up here. That's how it works. Okay. My trader price of the month still way up here. It hasn't moved down yet. It will eventually. You'll see in the Nasdaq it has. Okay. So yesterday opened. Where do we open? Right here in the mid. went all the way up and got crushed all the way up and rolled over. Right? That's a regime change in my eyes. That's a regime change. It's sell the rip now. Okay? Big orders hitting the tape. Just got an alert. So you're getting some excess now. So the key is this level here. You got supply there. That's a key level. Okay, so let's look at the top here. And let's look at yesterday's high, yesterday's low. Then you got the overnight high, the overnight low, right? So we closed here and price is here. It's bearish, right? It was gapping down, but now we're back into range. This is just bearish. I mean, you're holding yesterday's lows, most traded price of the week. Okay, and it's bearish. And here's the midpoint of yesterday, right here. So that candle just said you're not going higher for now. Okay. And we're hanging out around this 50-day moving average on the daily chart, right? What you need is the market to accept prices lower here. You need to just hang out below it. Finally accept to go there. I mean, we are not accepting below it really yet. We're here, but if we do this again, then it's just a big moving average in the chart everybody looks at basically. Okay. All right. So that's what the market's doing now. So I'm going to close this back up so we can just look at the profile. Okay. So it's a balanced profile. Now look. I'm going to show you something. Overnight high, overnight low. Okay. Most traded price of the overnight's here. Whereas that with the most traded price of yesterday and the most traded price of the week here. Okay. There's no edge here. There's no edge here because we opened here. So you have equal amounts of buyers and sellers. So you got no edge there. Okay. The line in the sand is this level, overnight high to this most traded price of the week and of yesterday. That is our like middle point, the line in the sand. That's the line in the sand. All right, so I'm already seeing a plan come to fruition here. Okay, and let's just talk about that. Let's just talk about that. All right. Not sure if who's with me. I don't know if it's Wien. Rosita's in like Vegas for I think she moved there. I'm not sure who is watching. Post a comment if you have any questions or if someone is live watching and I'm not just talking to thin air. You don't have to, but I'm gonna explain here. Let's go with the bearish scenario. Okay. Now, supply here, overnight high, most traded price of the week, most traded price of yesterday, right? So this area right here is very, very, very key. And so what you could see here is a bearish scenario. Okay, you could even pull down to this demand, start popping out, and here's the test. If we start moving back into this level, even if we go above it for a second and then hit supply, and then if we start rejecting and falling under, we're going to go back down. And we're going to test back this demand and this naked VPOC right here. And possibly move to here, to this naked VPOC. There's still demand here, but I'm giving you the bearish scenario. Yes, there could be a pop here. But that would be in the bullish scenario. Okay? This is what I see. So if you can't get above here or this supply, I could see this even after a push down. Now, let's go with the bull. The only thing I'd really be interested in is two things. If you flush down to here, right, and you don't hold it too long, maybe Colby. Hey Colby, welcome. I haven't heard from you in a while. So if we come back on demand here and we start ripping up, right, making higher lows, then you could see some longs liquidating, right? And that would give you a good opportunity to at least come back here. And then that would be the test again, right? But if you made it, broke that supply, and you held this level, well, you're probably going at least to the midpoint of yesterday. 9 daily EMA, maybe even test the monthly VWAP. That's one. Okay. Second is if you just open and kind of push up and hold this, obviously we can do that as well. So that's really what I'm looking for. And this line in the sand here tells us everything. This tells us everything. Okay. That price, just to give you an exact price, is 44.87. Okay. 44.96 is the last line of defense. That's the overnight high and the end of the supply. So that's really it. Okay. Now let's go over to our NASDAQ. Let's go over to the NASDAQ. Let's move this up. All right. Now, let's look at our levels here. Okay. We have the most traded price of the week as moved lower. That price, 152.70. 152.70, right? Price is down here, right at the lows of the overnight. Okay. Now, the most traded price of the month has moved lower, which is 155.50. That's moved lower. That was up above earlier. Now that's moving lower. Okay. If this keeps holding in this area, it's eventually going to move down to here, which would be ultimate balance, which just means a huge move is going to happen. Okay. And that's very bearish if we hold below that. Okay. So we got our levels, our important levels there. And look at this profile. You got a distribution here, a distribution here, and then we got, finally we had some excess here just now. Okay. So we're trying to go lower, just made lower again. Now again, this is all bearish because we're below this level. However, we're not just falling like a knife. We're getting intraday volatility. Okay. All right. So let's look at our structures compared with yesterday, right? Now, yesterday, just to point out, right? This worked out perfectly in a trade for me. Okay, so I was only interested in a short up here in the supply. And also, this was, you can see, in still the overnight that was the most traded price of the week. So when it came up here and it couldn't get above this, and then I was looking at Amazon at the 140 level, I was looking at Google at the 132 level, entered a short, and then it worked out pretty nicely because then the market fell apart. But that's the reason though, supply, and it was the most traded price of the week. Okay, and that's what held that market. See that? And monthly VWAP was right here. It's all about confluence. Okay. All right. So now that you know that, but the most traded price of the week has moved lower. Oh, we're getting a push lower now. Okay. Market is really not liking that. This PPI. Okay. So we're pushing low, which is fine, right? So here's yesterday's low. Here's yesterday's high. Now there was a kind of a weak low here. We just broke it. All right. So yesterday's high, let's do this again. We are gapping down in futures in the NASDAQ. We're gapping down. Okay, we have demand here. All right. Now, there's a weak high. There's a weak high. Very important level. It's a very perfect, nuanced level in the NASDAQ. So right here, what do you have? Overnight high, and you have the most shorter price of the week. You can see the volume here, right? So if the market is to, this is the tipping point too in the NASDAQ. So if the market is to come up here, you got supply here, but if it is able to pop its head above here and hold it, we're going to go higher, okay? But if we hold under it, it should be bearish, okay? That should be bearish. So, like I said, supply's here, all right? Most shaded price of yesterday's here. Okay, we're pushing lower now. Continue to push. That's fine. Okay. So inventory pretty much in the middle. No edge there. Okay. Equal buyers and pretty much sellers. No edge there. We're gapping lower. Okay. So little different here now, right? Because this is the gap fill. That's the gap fill. This market's really not liking that PPI. Producer price index. That's how much producers have to pay, right, to make stuff, which is going to in turn most likely result in higher prices, right? Inflation rearing its head. Okay. So we're going to come into a demand as we're speaking. The judging, see how much of a bounce we get out of this demand zone. Probably going to make it there. Another couple pushes. We'll probably make it into the demand and see if we get a pop. Okay. It's not going to change my scenarios. Okay. So let's go with bearish scenario. There's the push, almost into that demand zone. Here we go. We're going lower now. Almost there. And let's just see if we get a bounce out of there. Almost. Almost there, not yet. Nvidia is down 1.58% right now. 420 is a huge negative gamma level in Nvidia. All right, we're pushing into demand now. We just hit the top of it. I would expect to get a bounce coming. Okay, so right now we're gapping, right? So pushing into demand zone. That doesn't mean once you hit tap of demand zone you pop up, but I would expect some kind of buying. Just there we go, a little bit. There it is, a little bit of buying, right? All right. So for the bearish scenario, price is here. Okay, price is here. So if you watch me before, we have our gaps scenarios, right, to tell us how bearish this is. The most bearish you can get, number one bearish, is gap and go. We can go all the way down to here or to this next demand zone and negative epoch. Okay, that would be the most bearish. Second most bearish is we move up, fail to fill the gap, and then we roll over. Okay, third most bearish is you fill the gap and then roll over, right? Now what cancels all that out and tells you, okay, wait a minute, is if we open somehow and go back, fill the gap, but then start moving back into yesterday's range, that should call off shorts in this area. That means sellers are not strong enough. Okay, So that's what we're looking at. So let's go off that scenario. Okay, so we got our gap right here. So like I just said, one scenario is gap and go. So all that again, roll over, hit the gap, roll over, right? Now, if we fill the gap and start moving back into range, you still have this supply zones and you have this area that market has to get through. Okay, that's tough sledding. Two supply zones, overnight high, and the most traded price of the week is tough. So let's say we come up here and do this, we're probably going to roll over. Okay, remember, this is bearish scenarios. So that's what you got to look at, right? You don't want to just short the lows. That's poor trade location. Okay, you want to get liquidity into your trade to fuel your trade, right? That wasn't always clear to me in the when I started trading. Right, you need fuel to give your trade. Now look at that demand zone. We're bouncing out, right? Okay, so here is the bullish. So here's our gap. That's the gap fill. So what you want to see is a couple things. Okay, for me, if I'm like, would I like to go long? Would I like to go long? I probably would like a push down, stay in this demand, kind of like lower high, right? Then you could see if you can get the gap fill. If you start moving into range and hold, most likely we're going to test this area, right? That's the big test. Now, if the market is strong enough to rise above the most traded price of the week and hold it, now you got the 50-day simple moving average and the 9 daily. Okay, I'm not saying we go this high. Okay, that's just a scenario. Okay, this is a little more risk taking, right? But you get the most bang for your buck. Everybody's short from here and from here, so you got a liquidity. Shorts have to cover. Okay, now the other one is, if you want to be conservative, is you wait for this move to happen, right? You wait for it, and then you think you see this bounce, hold, then could we go back to that supply, yesterday's highs? That's about it. That's about all I see. So we're using both of these levels in the ES and the NASDAQ. Okay. Now let's just check right back with the ES just to see if it's gapping down. I'm not sure if it is. It is. All right. So still staying with this same theme, right? We got a demand zone here. Hasn't popped into it yet. So we'll have to see, right? We'll have to see. Like I said, this demand's here, and you really have to see how strong sellers are. This is pretty negative news, so just be cognizant of that. Okay. All right. So I hope everybody saw the plan. I'm ready for it. Pretty easy. Most days, pretty easy plans, scenarios. Yep, pretty much. That's right, Kobe. That's right. Now, real quick, we probably could just check the Fed funds futures. Let's see here. Let's do that real quick. Let's just see what this number did, if anything, to the Fed fund futures rates. Okay, so for the next meeting, which is September 20th, as of right now, still expecting a pause, 88.5%. 11.5% of a 25 basis point rate hike. So still we're looking at a pause, but let's see if that changes or not, right? So our current rate is here. Let's see when they're expecting a cut. So they're not expecting a cut here. Or maybe they are. Hold on. Let's see. We're here. Hmm. So very interesting. Very, very interesting. All right. All right. Again, just remember Main Street and Wall Street don't have to work together. Okay. Economically, I don't think we're doing as great as what the president is saying, because we're not. However, the market can do what the market does. It's forward looking. Okay, it's forward looking. So, market doesn't have to do what the economy is doing. So, what enough of that said, we got our plan, right? Subscribe if you enjoyed what you saw. Set an alert. Okay, if you liked it, appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up. That'd be awesome, right? As always, you can follow me on Twitter, Gonzo719. You have a good day too, Kobe. And um, so let's be patient today. Okay, let's just be patient. Let the market set up. Okay, um, and it should be a good day today. Okay, just be patient. All right, patience does pay. So, wish everybody a good weekend. If you don't hear from me, which you probably won't. So, good luck to all, and we'll see you guys on Monday.